This will be part 3 for the Unit 9 review. This will be the last two questions, numbers 9 and 10. For number 9, it gives us the zeros, and it wants us to write a quadratic equation that opens down with these zeros. Now remember, opens down means that A is going to equal -1. So we'll take care of that after we take care of this part. So if my zeros are -2 and 4, what I need to do is create the factors. I do that by, for this one, adding 2 to both sides. So I get x plus 2 as a factor because a factor is set equal to 0 to get the 0. And on this side we'll subtract 4, so x minus 4 is going to equal 0. So my two factors are x plus 2 and x minus 4. Now what I need to do is multiply those together, but remember that it's opening down, so we have a -1 that we're going to have there. We'll go ahead and set this equal to 0. I'm going to ignore the -1 until I'm finished with this multiplication. So I got -1 times x minus 4 plus 2 times x minus 4. Do my distribution, x squared minus 4x plus 2x minus 8. Combine the like terms, so we get x squared minus 2x minus 8. Now we can distribute the -1. So we have -x squared plus 2x plus 8 equals 0. And there is your quadratic equation that opens down and has zeros of -2 and 4. For number 10, we have to identify the following characteristics from the function below. The vertex is going to get a little tricky. It's somewhere around 1. And so my minimum or maximum value down here is a little past that 6. I do know the domain, because the domain is always going to be all real numbers, because this should have arrows on it. My range, because this is going to be a minimum, so I know it's going to be a minimum, it's going to be greater than or equal to for the range. My axis of symmetry is going to be an equation that says x equals. My zeros, I can go ahead and get my zeros. I see a 0 here at -1. And I have another one over here at 1, 2, 3, 4 at x equals 4. Whoops. My y-intercept is 1, 2, 3, 4. It's down here at -4. So what I'm going to do then is take these, turn them into factors. So if x equals -1, x plus 1 is a factor. And if x equals 4, then x minus 4 is a factor. I'm going to multiply these together to get an equation. So then we get x squared minus 3x minus 4. There's my y-intercept of -4. So I'm going to go ahead and go to my calculator and go to y equals, and I'm going to type in x squared minus 3x minus 4. And I'm going to graph it. Make sure it looks like this one. Yes, there it is. Now I'm going to go to the table so that I can get my vertex and my minimum and get my range and my axis of symmetry, which basically I need the vertex for. So I'm going to look at the table of values, and look what's happening right here between 1 and 2. See how these are exactly the same? What that means is that my vertex is halfway between there. So I'm going to go to table set, and I'm going to say count by halves, and then go back and look. And here at 1.5, I get -6.25 as my vertex. So I'm going to get 1.5 and -6.25. This is a minimum value at -6.25. My range is going to be greater than or equal to the y value of the vertex, and my axis of symmetry comes from the x value of the vertex. So all I did was I noticed that halfway between 1 and 2 is where my vertex was going to be. because of this 6 and this 6. It had to be halfway between those. So I went ahead and counted by halves so that I could get 1.5 in the table and get the negative 6.25. So that is the conclusion of your review for the Unit 9 test. There's 3 parts. Part 1 is 1, 2, 3, and 4. Part 2 is 5 through 8, and then 9 and 10 were in this video, part 3.